And how's this spring kind of been different for you maybe compared to last spring?
I think there's kind of some comfort knowing how the operation works, some organizational things, some experience just doing it, comfort level for me, but kind of been rejuvenated, been energized, and with my role how it is now, I've been involved in a lot of different position groups and been able to learn a lot, but also have an impact in a lot of different areas that I didn't have last spring. So it's been a lot of fun.
What was the biggest thing you learned last year going through it?
I think the number one thing I learned was how to communicate with the quarterback, with the offensive staff, with our guys, and how impactful that is within a season, within a game, within a drive. I think I learned a lot of those lessons the hard way, but we'll now be able to apply it moving forward. And then obviously, first year doing it, you're going to get a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience just by doing. So that was a big piece of it.
What was the biggest thing coming into spring that you wanted to work on or see out of your offense? And in scrimmage one, did you see that?
Yeah, the biggest thing, kind of starting top down, starting with Coach Danielson, has just been the mentality piece, the effort and physicality. So that's the number one thing that we wanted to see this spring from our guys. Still the number one thing we're trying to see amongst our team, and that's been a huge positive. And it showed up in the scrimmage in a lot of ways. Now there's some areas that we need to improve upon. We didn't run the ball well enough, and I don't think a part of that was the effort or physicality. It was more the details. So that's something that we're focused on right now to clean up. But, man, you've seen it each practice. There's a new energy. There's a competitive spirit. There's physicality all over the place. So it's been great to see that development within our team and our offense.
How much would you put on the fact that you got live before?
I think that's a good piece of it. Yeah, I think that's part of all of us growing and learning. And, you know, we have these certain goals. We have these kind of things that we're looking at and what we want to be, but it's how do we put it to practice? And I think the best thing you can do is play real football. And it's been great for our entire team to have those more live opportunities, and it's definitely paying off.
How helpful is it to have fully healthy Maddox coming in, and how much does that kind of open up things for you coming into this year?
Yeah, I mean it's great for him. It's great for our offense. It allows us to continue to grow. Allows him to get those reps, to continue to develop. He's the spark plug for our offense. He's got to be the best player on the field at all times. That's what we talk about. And that's being healthy, being out there. So for him, it's allowed him to continue to get better. And that's all you're asking for.
What's the QB2 battle look like?
Well, I mean, it's been fun this spring. I've been joking, like, you know, our incoming freshman quarterbacks have gotten more reps in 8 practices than most would have gotten an entire year in the past, just the way and the tweaks that we're making. So the development has been great. The competition's been great. Right now, I know Coach Danielson's talked about it. You know, everything's still a competition. There's a seeding chart, but I've seen huge development from each of those guys. You know, Max continues to do great things, operate at a high level. Those young quarterbacks, you see flashes, you see that talent. They're getting more comfortable within the offense. So it's been really fun to see those guys compete and get reps where normally it might be 2 or 3. Now they're getting, 20, 30 a practice, and that's just kind of accelerated everybody's development.
For the rest of the spring, what do you want to see out of each of your quarterbacks? If you're looking at something, one thing they could improve on, Madsen, Cutforth, freshman, etc.
Yeah, I think the number one thing that we talk about each day is just making our plays. So that wide open receiver, we got to make the throw. We got to be consistent. We got to hit the layups. We got to make our plays, and then handle the operation. And I think they've been doing a really good job with that overall. And everybody's kind of at a different point within their development in the offense. But we just got to be consistent and make our plays, and that starts with the quarterback position.
The O-line, just with so many guys being out and stuff, what are you seeing from some of the young guys, and how hard is that to not only gauge the O-line but also gauge the whole offense at times when there's multiple starters that aren't out there?
I think it's a great opportunity for our offensive line with some of those vets, some of those older guys being out this spring. We're able to develop and create depth at that position, which is going to create competition. So I think it's been a great opportunity. I'm really proud of where those guys are going right now. And even though we have some guys banged up, there's guys that are practicing right now that are going to play for us. And a big part of that is the reps they're getting right now. So I think it's been really good for the entire group, just the amount those guys are playing and getting better.
Stu. I mean, he's one of the youngest guys so far that's like been in the hype circle before practice one time. So what have you seen out of him? I've seen Stu grow so much with his leadership, being vocal, with his communication at the line of scrimmage, with his play. I think he's got a lot of room to grow, but I like that we're putting pressure on him. I like that he's going to have to operate against a really, really good defense. It's going to throw a lot at you, but he doesn't back down from any challenge, and that's what you need at the center position. You talk about mentality. How would you sum up his kind of energy or mentality?
Fearless. Yeah, fearless. He's not afraid of the competition, the moment. He's always going to play to his standard, his level. And I think that goes back to just his experience playing ball in high school and the level he played at, and it's kind of transferred over with us. He's not afraid of the moment, and he's always willing to compete and get after it.
You talk a little bit about improving communication.
Mm-hmm.
Now with your experience and the role you're in, what makes an effective communicator, I guess?
I think it's everybody speaking the same language, saying the same thing. So the way I view it is the same way that Coach Hill, Coach Montgomery, Coach Keene, everybody's saying the same thing, viewing it the same, and the communication to the players is all the same from the coaches. And when you have that, there's that consistency piece that you want within any football team, but definitely in offense.
Receivers, there's a lot of new faces, and then even some of the faces that were on the team are expected to be in a little bit different roles. What have you seen out of the receivers, both in practice and then how do they translate to the scrimmage?
Yeah, I think what I've seen is a toughness, is a competitive spirit out of that group that I'm really fired up about. I mean, they've been battling. They have made plays. They've gotten better. They've made mistakes like every other position, but I've seen guys get better from practice 1 to practice 8. And in the scrimmage, it was good to see guys get out of their comfort zone. We had guys kind of playing different positions. It was good to see how some guys responded to that stress, right? That game-like atmosphere, and see where other guys need to get a little bit better. But I like where that group's going because it's just so much untapped potential, so much talent, and now it's exciting to see how they continue to improve and get better. But it's all in there.
Is it wild, like, for Sean Jones, we just continue to hear his name, and he continues to show up. So how unique or different is it for the offensive coordinator to put more and more trust in a kid that's 17 years old and should be in high school?
Yeah, I think it's so dependent on the individual, and you build trust with how you practice, how you prepare, and he does those things at a very high level at a young age. So despite him just, coming out of high school, he's building trust because the effort he puts in every day, the plays he makes, and the way he works. And so it doesn't make it hard for me as an offensive coordinator to give him more when I see all the work he's putting in.
No comparison could be the thief of joy. And I'm not even talking about his size or anything like that. But you've been around the program for a while. Is there anybody like that he kind of reminds you of in terms of maybe his approach or?
That's a good question. He is very unique, I would say that. I don't know if we've had somebody at the receiver position that has that combination of speed, size, strength, maturity at a young age. I think he's very unique, and we're all very, very grateful that he's here and very excited about what's to come.
We've been around here a while, and he's a guy that may have a shot to have a meaningful role as a true freshman. There have been some people that have done that. I'm thinking Bachmeyer obviously starting his first game as a freshman. Is there a common thread between freshmen that are able to get out and contribute right away?
I think the number one thing is, are they physically ready? That's always a starting point. Are they physically ready to take on the toll of a season? And then if they have that and you add in, are they willing to do all the extra things outside of the practice field where they know what they're going to do, where they're
going to be healthy because they're in the training room. You know, if you have that combination, then absolutely. And it's still, obviously, we're still in spring ball. We're still seeing how everybody's working, developing. But if you can do that as a young guy and you're physically ready, then you have a chance.
Heard, a lot about Matt Wagner, obviously playing for a big year, but who else behind him has kind of caught your eye? Or are you looking at?
Tight end wise? Well, it's been good to see like Troy Grizzle. You know, he converted from the defensive side to the offensive side. Just the progress he's made and the impact he's going to have, not only offensively, but just all over the place on special teams. Really proud of him. I think we had a bunch of young tight ends that have shown flashes. That's a hard position, though. It takes some time. It's a developmental position, but Keave Brown, as a young guy, has shown a lot of different things on the field. Carter Kukenboo has shown that he has the size, the skill, the strength to have an impact. So there's a lot of guys in that room that are making plays, but it's really going to take time to become that consistent player like a Matt Wagner, who's doing a phenomenal job. I mean, very underrated in my opinion, and his leadership is outstanding.
Where is kind of his ceiling, and where are you? I know you're kind of fine tuning stuff with him at this point, but where are you kind of trying to get him to take his game to that next level?
I think for him, it's just being that impact player. So when that big moment arises, he's going to make that play for us consistently. And if he does that, he has all the skills to be an all-conference type player, to do whatever he wants in this game. But I think he's building to that point where, you know, we need a big play. He's going to make it for us.
Going back to last year, I know you've had the chance to obviously review the whole season. What's the biggest thing that you want to improve on as an offensive coordinator?
Yeah, I think it's my relationship with the players, my communication with the staff. Obviously, there's a lot of things I learned play calling wise, situationally, that go in with that. But I think it's being way more present, way more vocal, way more involved at every aspect, and being a better leader overall.
What about just, offensive coordinator at Boise State? Like, you're in the limelight a little more now.
Yeah.
And just, I remember after the 22 runs in a row, whatever game that was, there's people on social media, whatever. I mean, just how do you kind of dealt with all just the being more, when you're the tight ends coach, whatever, you're kind of off to the side, but now you're getting the criticism and the good and the bad that comes with it, and just how you dealing with all that?
Yeah, I think, number one, it comes with the responsibility of the position. And you want high standards. That's why you're at Boise State. And I love that about this place. And I've been a part of that for a long time, so I completely understand that. And I think the other part of it, too, is I'm grounded with what I believe in as far as who I am, my values, my family, and then the work that I put in here with our players. If I go home at night and I feel like I've done everything I can as a coach, as a leader, as a mentor to help these guys, then I'm good. I can sleep well at night. But I totally get it. It comes with the territory, and that's what it should be, because this university, this football program has high standards.
You mentioned kind of learning, whether it's play calling or situations or whatever. How much of that you hate to have to learn on the fly in a game? I mean, you can do all the preparation and practice and spring ball and summer, but you think you have the perfect plan, but to have, you thought the 22 runs in a row was the best thing to do. And then you find out how much of that is just you have to go experience it and go through it to kind of, and how much better do you think you can be in year two, just now having gone through the ups and downs of last year?
Yeah, I mean, it's similar to being a player. There's one thing to practice, there's another thing to go out and play. Sometimes you got to learn from bad plays, defeats, bad moments. The other thing about football is it's so dynamic. I mean, you could practice every situation, and then in a game, a brand new one's going to show up you never thought about. So it's just having your base rules, your fundamentals, your DNA as an offense, sticking to that, but also every time you go through that situation, that experience, you take something with you. You get a little bit better. So when it does come up again, you react how you should react.
Talk about sleeping good at night. Are you sleeping good at night? How much are you balancing life and football right now, Nate?
I'm sleeping enough. I have tremendous support at home. But at the end of the day, I'm pouring all into this role, this team, and my family at the same time. And that's all I can ask for and do.
Tell us, you added to the roster last week. How was that experience?
Yeah. I mean, we had our third baby boy last week. Everybody's healthy. Everybody's happy. It's always a miracle. I'm always amazed how tough my wife is, and it's just amazing. I mean, there's nothing better than being a father.
You're too short of an offensive line now, Nate.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna get to O-line status. But it's such a wonderful thing to obviously bring another baby into this world and continue to be the best father I can be.
This typically would have been about the time you had spring break, in spring ball, and took a week off. How much do you like just kind of powering through here and not having that break?
I really like the schedule that Coach Danielson put in place. I think what it allowed us to do is learn from this past season, go back, evaluate a lot of different things, and then apply tweaks, changes new into this spring practice because we didn't feel like we were rushed getting into it. We can take the necessary steps to implement new things and to make changes, and it's definitely paying off.
Some of those changes, obviously, you mentioned going live more.
Mm-hmm.
I know the defense needed it to work on the tackling. From the offensive perspective, any hesitation there to want to do that with just the injury risk and all that? I mean, we're seeing Sire and Dylan and some of these guys taking some pretty big hits.
You know what? I think just like the defense needs it, we need it as an offense because there's a different level of speed to the game when it becomes live, and we got to see who's going to make that guy miss, who's going to make the play when we really need it. And when everybody's playing fast, there's usually less risk of injury in my experience. And it's been fun to watch. It's really accelerated a lot of development, and it's been fun to watch those guys compete.
I know you talked about multiple players, guys who are standing out, but just as an offense as a whole, what has kind of stood out in your estimation this spring so far?
Yeah, I think three of the main things we're focused on is improvement, competing, and responding. How do we learn from a bad play, from a bad series? And it's been fun to watch the entire group really just come together and compete and really kind of mold and have that chemistry. There's not a lot of pointing fingers, not a lot of guys complaining. There's a lot of guys working and getting better. And it's been really fun to coach them and see them grow. And I think that overall is exactly what you want within an offensive unit.
If you were going to have to play a game this week, what would you feel most confident in about the offense? Where do you think you guys are the strongest?
Had to play a game this week, Bob. That's pretty short notice right there.
Hey, transfers, everything goes fast.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, I mean, obviously very confident in our senior quarterback. He's got the experience, got the leadership. He's that guy for us. And then we all know how talented our running back room is. Those guys continue to impress me on a daily basis. I mean, what they did in pass protection this past scrimmage is pretty much unheard of. What they were doing, how they were picking up some of those pressures, it was fantastic. So a very strong group. And then I really like I said, where we've seen the O-line grow, especially with that young group, we are building depth. And that's exactly what you want at that position. And then we have some young receivers that are starting to show that they are capable of making some big plays for us and willing to kind of do whatever is needed. So I really like where we're at, but you got to ride the senior quarterback and the heck of that running back room that we got.
Is the first spring scrimmage fun for you? And what do you take away from that? And then what do you hope to see between now and the second scrimmage?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you get a chance to compete and scrimmage, it's fun in every aspect because you're playing ball. It's real at that point. I've been a part of a lot of spring balls, a lot of spring scrimmages. I've seen some really good. I've seen some really, really bad. I thought we were somewhere kind of right in the middle. There was a lot of good things, but there's always pieces and details that you have to clean up after scrimmage one, things that we can control that will make us better. And I think that's the emphasis moving into next week.
You mentioned the running back room and Dylan. I mean, I know you guys had a lot of confidence in him last year, but just to be where he was in the preseason pecking order and then goes for 1,000 yards.
Mm-hmm.
You just look back on that and how truly impressive was that? And then, how much better can he even be this year?
Yeah, everything about that season for Dylan was impressive with everything that was going on. It was great to see kind of we knew what he was capable of, and then to see him go out and do it, that's always what you want. But Coach J-Mo, Dylan himself would tell you, I mean, we haven't even scratched the surface. There's still a lot left in there, so I'm excited to see kind of what he does next and how he continues to grow and how good he can really be.
I was talking to him and he said that definitely not in terms of level of competition, but just I think in terms of like confidence and the game slowing down. He said it's almost kind of like how he felt maybe at the end of high school almost.
Yeah.
Can you see it when it slows down for a player? Like, what does that mean, I guess?
Yeah, I guess that's a good point. What does it mean for a player when it slows down? I think that's when they're now anticipating instead of reacting. They have a kind of a feel for what's coming, so they already have a plan. And then they have a good base of fundamentals that they can always go back to. But when it slows down for them, they're not surprised in the moment. They have a plan, and they're just playing free. And I think that's what you're seeing with a lot of our older players right now. They have so many banked reps that they're not surprised when the defense shows a different look, or it's not exactly how we practiced, or they kind of can set things up for the next couple plays down the road, and they're looking ahead and they're on the attack instead of really reacting.
What are you seeing from Nitro, and from Morris too, and just kind of they're coming in to join the team, and what kind of impact you think they can make?
Yeah, Akeem, it's been great to see, especially last week. I mean, he took huge strides last week for us. He's now comfortable. He knows what he's doing. He's playing fast, and when he plays fast, he has tremendous ball skills. I think everybody's seen that, and he could be a playmaker for us. So I really like where he's progressing. Demo is, he's a senior. He's played a lot of football. You can see that in how he operates, how he interacts with guys, how he leads. I'm expecting him to continue to take strides, but I'm excited about both those guys because they've shown flashes. Now it's about being consistent, just like everybody else in spring practice.
What's it do in the room when you have, some returners, Cam and Quentin and Ben and some of these guys that are, expecting and hoping for bigger roles, and then whether it's Jones coming in as a freshman or these transfers coming in that are coming in to kind of take their spot?
It creates competition. I mean, that's what you want in every room because that just makes everybody around him better. It pushes that guy out of his comfort zone to take the next step. And that's really what you want. You want that competition because at the end of the day, it's going to raise the bar for our entire offense and our team.
How about, Akeem coming over from a JC? Does it truly take time to go from the JC level and get acquainted or accustomed to this level? And then you mentioned last week you made a big jump. What's it like for you to see the light go on?
I love it. I love it because, to your point, you can literally see the light turn on and just kind of see him playing free, which is what you need to do, but you can only do that if you know exactly what's going on. If you know your assignment, you can play fast. And there's always an adjustment, right? Whenever you get into a new program or you go up a level, there's going to be an adjustment to the standards of how you operate in the weight room, how you operate in the meeting room, what the offense is. And so there's always an adjustment period, but I think he's figuring it out quickly, and he's learning kind of the things he needs to do outside of the football facility to prepare him for practice in that next day, and it's paying off.
You were taken in the NFL draft. Casey's hoping to follow in yours and
Yeah.
any other offensive line footsteps. 10 days away from the draft, what do you think he's doing, or how can he help himself in the last 10 days before the draft?
Well, we've had some conversations recently, and I just told him that at this point you need to prepare like you're already a professional, right? That's your mindset. So your body has to be ready, your mind has to be ready, because once you get to that team you're going to, because you're going, once you get there, you're hitting the ground running. So there's no time to acclimate, get in shape. You should already be in shape. So I've just kind of been explaining to him what that looks like, what that transition is, what the daily schedule is. But as we all know, he's such a mature young man with an incredible work ethic. I have no doubt that he's going to be successful wherever he goes.
Ask you a similar question about Matt Lauder. What would he bring to an NFL team if he gets a shot?
Yeah, I think Matt's versatility, not only as a tight end within your offense, but in special teams, brings a lot of value to an NFL organization. And I think it's very rare to find somebody that can block, that can run, that can be a playmaker, that's willing to be a wing on field goal or be on kickoff return or be on the punt team. So I think he brings so much value to a team, and he loves football, and he will do whatever it takes. So I'm excited to see where the future is for him.
Any more? Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
That's great.
Thanks, man.